evening. I'm Scott McFarland. Here's what's happening right now. Another deadly shooting involving federal agents in Minneapolis. The incident sparking new clashes with protesters.
I'm Lana Zach in Minneapolis. New outrage tonight and calls for ICE to get out in a city already boiling over.
How many more Americans need to die or get badly hurt for this operation to end?
Also tonight, a monster storm. Nearly 200 million people threatened. Potentially catastrophic ice, snow, and extreme cold in the forecast from New Mexico to New England.
I'm Jason Allen in Oklahoma City, a place that can go entire winters without seeing this much snow, and the heaviest of it is still blowing in.
States of emergency in 21 states. I'm meteorologist Bill Kelly with the latest on the danger.
Already major travel issues tonight from coast to coast.
And I'm Allie Bauman in Newark, New Jersey. Thousands of flights have been canceled this weekend.
About face. President Trump backpedals after outraging allies about their sacrifice in Afghanistan and then takes new aim at Canada. And later, they're California's favorite lovebirds. News tonight about bald eagles Jackie and Shadow, courtesy of their global live stream.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York with Jerika Duncan.
Good evening. I'm Scott McFarland in for Jerika on this very busy Saturday. Right now, two major breaking stories impacting people from coast to coast. A monstrous winter storm is threatening nearly 200 million people, impacting most of the nation east of the Rocky Mountains. Forecasters are warning of catastrophic ice accumulation. It's also plunged much of the country into a deep freeze with some of the coldest temperatures seen in years. We're covering it all, and we'll get back to their reports shortly. But we begin tonight in Minneapolis, where for the second time this month, a federal agent has shot and killed a U.S. citizen. The moment was again caught on tape. Tonight, the city's police chief is urging outraged citizens to keep the peace. CBS's Lana Zach is in Minneapolis for us, just a block away from where today's fatal shooting took place. Lana.
Good evening, Scott. Much like the case of Renee Good, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension say they are being blocked from this investigation.
Cell phone video shows the moments leading up to the shooting. A federal agent pushes a person to the ground and pepper sprays them. Then more officers converge and wrestle a man to the ground, appearing to hit him before at least one agent opens fire and kills the man. The backlash was swift. Law enforcement officers used pepper balls and flashbangs against protesters gathered at the scene.
It's actually hard to breathe right now. It's both a combination of the pepper spray that was used by agents to disperse the crowd where that shooting took place and the literal dumpster fire that is spewing black smoke into the street.
I didn't know him.
Ella Brettenfeld was among the protesters.
The system isn't working. It's killing people in our streets. It's killing our neighbors. It's injuring people. It's traumatizing children.
An outraged Governor Tim Walz said the federal government cannot be trusted to lead this investigation.
Thank God we have video, because according to DHS, these 7 heroic guys took an onslaught of a battalion against them or something. It's nonsense, people. It is nonsense, and it's lies.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem claimed, without offering evidence, that the victim was responsible for the confrontation.
He wasn't there to peacefully protest. He was there to perpetuate violence.
The Department of Homeland Security claims the man approached officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun and violently resisted arrest. CBS News has identified the man as 37-year-old Alex Peretti, a Minneapolis resident and an American citizen. Minneapolis police say he had a valid permit to carry a gun.
And Scott, today's shooting was just the latest in a string of incidents that have sparked outrage here and intense scrutiny into federal tactics, including the detention of at least 2 young children.
Lana, how worried are authorities about any unrest overnight?
Well, it is -5 degrees here and dropping. Many of the people who were at the protest have now moved over to a vigil, but the National Guard has been activated. And I have to tell you, it feels so tense. Everyone is on alert.
Lana Zach in Minneapolis for us. Thank you. Now to that fierce winter storm sweeping across the United States. You're about to see Arkansas, just one state of many that could see a catastrophic mix of ice, snow, and record cold affecting tens of millions. CBS's Jason Allen is in Oklahoma City, where he starts us off on the storm. Jason.
Yeah, Scott, the wind is whipping in downtown Oklahoma City tonight. We are in a lull between snow bands right now, but by morning, some parts of the state could have up to a foot of snow as this system continues to push across the country.
The slow-moving monster storm is pounding the southern plains. In Oklahoma City, it arrived with extreme cold. Temperatures well below normal in the single digits. We found one resident who already lost power.
I have to call an electrician to come.
Further south, freezing rain is coating roads in Texas and Alabama. Cars in Mississippi. That ice could trigger crippling power outages across the region. Nearly 200 Florida utility workers are now in Georgia and South Carolina in position for what's to come.
Once we get more than about a quarter inch of ice on those lines, the lines either start sagging and failing, or more likely you actually get the vegetation above it, the trees, to fall on the lines.
Tennessee was also walloped by snow and ice. Here's CBS's Nicole Valdez in Nashville.
We already have several inches of snow on the ground, and forecasters say we could see up to 6 by the time this storm is all said and done. That's more than a season's worth of snow in a single day. Now, the message has been clear and repeated by state leaders. Stay home, don't drive. But we've already seen dozens of drivers sliding off the roads. The problem is the city of Nashville only has about 45 snowplows to clear hundreds of miles of roads. And as this storm transitions from snow to sleet, they worry those plows may not be much help.
Across the South, ahead of the storm, people packed grocery and hardware stores, leaving behind empty shelves.
We just want to make sure we're stocked up.
Scott, there are cold weather alerts or cold weather warnings for more than 100 million Americans tonight. It creates a situation where if the power does go out in places, it could lead to even dangerous temperatures where people are sheltering inside from this storm. Scott?
In the cold for us, Jason Allen, thank you. The impact on travel is growing by the hour. Airlines have already canceled more than 13,000 flights this weekend and counting. CBS's Allie Bauman's at Newark, New Jersey's Liberty International Airport. Allie, good evening.
Good evening, Scott. The TSA line behind me has finally just started to subside. It is a race against the clock for travelers to make it out while they still can. Here at Newark Airport, more than 600 flights are already canceled for tomorrow. Jessica Dem and her kids are leaving New Jersey, taking refuge in Orlando.
We'll come back when it's nice and pretty, but don't want to have to get stuck in the mess now.
Cancellations are piling up as the storm makes its 2,000-mile journey. Atlanta has new equipment that's expected to shave 30 minutes off the time it takes to clear a runway and get flyers off the ground. After arriving in San Francisco, Samaya Brown is already thinking of her trip home to Charlotte, North Carolina on Monday.
I know they putting down that Cajun seasoning for that salt.
And for how the Queen City is prepping, CBS's Dave Malkoff at the airport.
We're on the de-icing pad here with Jeff Hughes. He is at the controls of this de-icing machine. Here's how it works close up. They've got this one hairdryer on here that sprays hot air onto the plane. Then it's helped by this other liquid that kind of breaks up the ice. And then on top of that, they have another goop that they spray onto the plane. This kind of sticks there for about 45 minutes before they take off or have to come back and de-ice all over again.
In New York City, hundreds of garbage trucks will spread 700 million pounds of salt across the city. The first big storm is the first big test for new Mayor Zohran Mamdani, who's looking at past storms to avoid the criticism that plagued his predecessors.
Areas where not enough salt was laid, for example, areas that were overlooked. And we are now going to be addressing those shortcomings in advance of the storm.
And even after the storm passes, the frigid temperatures that follow will likely cause even more travel delays and cancellations. Scott?
In New Jersey, Allie Bauman, thank you. CBS meteorologist Bill Kelly is tracking this massive storm and where it's headed next. Bill.
Scott, this is a massive storm that is going to have massive impacts. Look at the winter weather alerts. 195 million people under these alerts. 30 states, over 30 states, over half the country having impacts from this, and it is going to last 4 days. We have the snow, we have areas of ice. Not a good situation at all. Let's start with the snow. Here's what we've seen so far. Little Rock pushing 8 inches of snow. Parts of Kansas over 6 inches of snow. Even Memphis, Tennessee getting 4 inches of snow already. And when we look at the track, the trend has been to push it a little farther north. So you have a band that extends all the way down to New Mexico, up into New England, that we are expecting the heavy snow throughout the region. We also have the ice part of this storm. Look at some of these ice totals. You go down near Louisiana where there is ice that is 3/4 of an inch. That's crippling. The amount of power outages that are going to occur when it's said and done is going to be remarkable, and how long it lasts is also going to be remarkable. High impact along that same line where we are going to be dealing with that ice. And then the big question is, how long is it going to stay? Unfortunately, you look at some of these temperatures. The one on the left is your high temperature tomorrow. The number on the right, as warm as it will get with the wind chill. Look at Bismarck, North Dakota, -23. That's as warm as you're going to get. Scott?
Long, cold night ahead. Bill Kelly at CBS Philadelphia. Thank you. To the nation's capital now, where there's a big chill in the air. And it's not just the weather. CBS's Willie James Inman is at the White House for us tonight. Willie James, good evening.
Scott, good evening to you. There's a new tariff threat aimed at Canada, and the president is also insulting the Canadian Prime Minister, calling him Governor Carney.
In a post on Truth Social, President Trump wrote, "If Canada makes a deal with China, it will immediately be hit with a 100% tariff against all Canadian goods and products coming into the USA." This week, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney received a standing ovation and drew Trump's ire in Davos, Switzerland, for an address in which he suggested there's a rupture in the world order.
Great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons, tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited.
In his Davos speech, Trump accused Carney of not being grateful.
Canada lives because of the United States.
Welcome. Last week, Canada and China struck an agreement that slashes tariffs on Chinese-made EVs.
Carney is looking to diversify economic relationships in particular, and this is not something that the Canadians were inclined to do 2 years ago, for example.
Canada is America's second largest trading partner. About 75% of its exports go directly to the U.S. Scott?
Willie James, the president said today he's not attending the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. Did he explain why?
Yeah, that's right, Scott. In an interview, the president says the big game in Santa Clara, California is just too far away. He also added that he was unhappy about this year's musical lineup, including Bad Bunny and Green Day, calling himself anti-them. Scott?
Okay, Willie James Inman, thank you very much. Still to come, what stunned travelers checking in at Detroit's airport. But first on tonight's CBS Weekend News, this story.
I'm Haley Ott in London, where there's been widespread outrage at the president's disparaging remarks about NATO allies. Why today's climb down may not be enough to repair the damage. Next on the CBS Weekend News.
Tonight, negotiators at face-to-face peace talks aimed at ending the war in Ukraine agreed to keep talking. They'll meet again next week. At the same time, Russian drones and missiles attacked what's left of Ukraine's electrical grid. The cities of Kyiv and Kharkiv were hardest hit. Also tonight, an about-face from President Trump after igniting a firestorm over the service and sacrifice of non-U.S. troops in Afghanistan. In a social media post, Trump today acknowledged the 457 British soldiers killed and wounded in action in Afghanistan, calling them the greatest of all warriors. CBS's Haley Ott in London has the latest.
This is Britain's National War Memorial, honoring those killed in conflicts like Afghanistan. Many across NATO countries were furious after they felt President Trump insulted their soldiers' sacrifices, and his apparent about-face may not be enough to repair the harm.
Will they be there if we ever needed them?
President Trump shocked America's NATO partners in an interview with Fox this week.
You know, they'll say they sent some troops to Afghanistan or this or that. And they did. They stayed a little back, a little off the front lines.
Britain and other NATO allied countries lost hundreds of service members in the war in Afghanistan, and the president's comments left them reeling.
I consider President Trump's remarks to be insulting and frankly appalling.
In the UK, lawmakers across the political spectrum were horrified.
There is too much careless talk from President Trump. How dare this man, who's never seen any action, who somehow or other, when there was a draft for everybody else in the United States, managed to avoid it, and yet now is commander-in-chief and knows nothing.
Even Prince Harry, an Afghanistan veteran himself, spoke out. Mothers and fathers buried sons and daughters, Harry said. Children were left without a parent. Families are left carrying the cost. One of those families, Ben Parkinson's. He's among the most wounded veterans to survive the Afghan war. His mother was furious at President Trump.
It's disgraceful. It's disrespectful. These are the rantings of a child, and it's not acceptable in a supposed leader of the free world.
Keir Starmer spoke directly with President Trump today about the contributions of British forces in Afghanistan. But the damage may already be done, Scott, with many of America's closest partners worried the U.S. may no longer be a reliable ally.
Haley Ott in London, thank you very much. Still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, they're back. How these California Eagles have given bird lovers a reason to watch them again. Tonight, Rick Pitino has become only the 4th college basketball coach ever to log 900 victories. He did so by leading St. John's University to an 88-83 win over Xavier, which, in a twist of sports fate, is coached by Pitino's son, Richard. The elder Pitino is 73 and coached his first game back in 1978. A sudden surprise for travelers checking in at Detroit's airport. A Mercedes crashed through the terminal's glass doors before stopping at a ticket counter Friday night. The driver was taken into custody. Now to news about California's favorite lovebirds. Bald eagles Jackie and Shadow are welcoming their first egg of the season. It was spotted on the live stream of the couple's nest overlooking California's Big Bear Lake. They'll now take turns carefully incubating the egg for the next 35 days or so. Next on the CBS Weekend News, why a famous frog is getting a new address. But first, a look back at this day in history.
It was Big Mac Day, the day Apple unveiled its new Macintosh computer to shareholders.
Almost 11 years after committing his final rape and murder, Ted Bundy went to Florida's electric chair today.
An historic policy shift today, allowing women to serve in all combat areas.
We end tonight with a new home for the world's most famous frog. In our weekend journal, CBS's Brian Unger in Atlanta gives us a sneak peek at his arrival.
We're in a secret location.
It's an undisclosed location. We should say that we're not even allowed to say where we are.
Jill Nash-Malul, museum director for Center for Puppetry Arts, is giving us the first look at this amphibious icon after his 2,000-mile cross-country journey to Atlanta.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here he is. He's wrapped in a blanket.
Kermit the Frog's journey began atop a spire at what was first the century-old Chaplin Studio in Hollywood. When Muppets creator Jim Henson took over the studio in 2000, Kermit towered above the entrance, an enduring symbol of the Muppets' home.
I'm starting to see things that I recognize.
When the studio sold in 2024, the Henson family donated or bought Kermit a one-way ticket to his new home.
And I can probably use his name now.
Oh my gosh.
Kermit the Frog, dressed as Charlie Chaplin.
All 900 pounds of him will soon be permanently installed atop the center, adding to Atlanta's skyline the world's most famous frog.
But what's the timeline then for this Kermit?
Beth Chavo is the executive director.
He was a little beat up, so we want to make sure that he's cared for, and we can serve him and give him a little bit of a juju fresh up, and then mount him in the right place on our property, which is still yet to be determined.
So after a few spa treatments, The California sun can be very drying.
How does he look to you?
He actually looks like he's in pretty good shape.
Kermit will soon be ready for his Atlanta red carpet, or green lily pad, debut. Brian Unger, CBS News, Atlanta.
And that's the CBS Weekend News for this Saturday. Tomorrow on Face the Nation, Margaret Brennan's guests include House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and Canadian Ambassador to the U.S., Kirsten Hillman. I'm Scott McFarlane in New York. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.